Breaking Liverpool news. Alexander Isak breaks his silence on a serious injury. Semenyo snubs Man United, and Liverpool get a huge boost in the Marc Guehi deal. Don't miss any January transfer updates. Subscribe now and stay locked in with Reds Focus LFC. Isak breaks silence after Liverpool leg break with injury admission. Liverpool striker Alexander Isak has endured a torrid few months since his move to Anfield. Liverpool striker Alexander Isak has broken his silence after suffering a disappointing injury setback in the Reds' win over Tottenham Hotspur. The Swedish international fractured his leg following a challenge from Spurs defender Mickey van de Ven and has had to have surgery on an ankle injury that included a fibula fracture. The 26-year-old came off the bench and scored for Liverpool at Tottenham on Saturday, but had to be taken off just a few moments after finding the back of the net. Isak was in clear discomfort as he hobbled off the pitch and is now set for a spell on the sidelines. Taking to Instagram, the striker said, "Gutted to be out for a while. Time to recover and support from the sideline. I will work hard to be back as soon as I possibly can. Thank you, all Reds, and everyone else for the kind messages. It does not go unnoticed." The Swedish international has endured a difficult period since moving to Anfield from Newcastle United, missing the Magpies pre-season with a minor thigh injury, and then didn't train with Eddie Howe's side in order to force through a move. Isak has scored just 2 goals and notched 1 assist in 10 Premier League appearances this season, scoring 1 more goal in the Carabao Cup win over Southampton, but has failed to find the back of the net in the Champions League. The British record signing has struggled with his fitness, and this is another huge setback, with former Reds defender Jamie Carragher highlighting his bad luck on Sky Sports Monday Night Football. "It's a huge blow, because I think Liverpool were actually 1 attacker short anyway," Carragher said. "There's a lot been made about a lot of the challenges in the game from Tottenham players, and a lot of them weren't clever. I put myself in Van de Ven's position, and that's a challenge I'd probably make. He's trying to block it. It's just the follow-through. I don't know where else anyone thinks his foot's going to go. He has to make that challenge. You can't let the striker just get a shot away in that situation. It's just really bad luck for Isak. It's probably one of the first glimpses we've seen of his real quality in a Liverpool shirt." Antoine Semenyo says no to Man United transfer as first preference on January move emerges. Bournemouth forward Antoine Semenyo looks set to be on the move during the January window with a host of teams, including both Manchester clubs, Liverpool and Chelsea. Antoine Semenyo has his heart set on a move to Manchester City in January. The Bournemouth forward is one of the most sought-after players in the Premier League after another impressive season on the South Coast. The 25-year-old signed a new deal with the Cherries in July, helping to fend off interest from a host of clubs during the summer window. However, part of that arrangement included a clause which will allow Semenyo to leave for £65 million at the start of 2026. A host of clubs have been in the mix to sign the Ghana international, including both Manchester United and City. However, The Athletic report that Semenyo's preference would be to play for Pep Guardiola in the blue half of the city. United had made a hard play to sign the standout Cherries star, but there was always an acceptance a deal would be hard, and a desire to immediately compete for the game's top prizes is said to have played a deciding factor in his final choice. Liverpool are also understood to be admirers of the players, while Chelsea made tentative inquiries for a player who already has 8 Premier League goals this season. Guardiola had previously hinted that City could be set for a quieter January window after greenlighting a huge spending spree 12 months ago. That was in the midst of a crippling injury crisis, while City are in a much stronger position this time around. He said, "Listen, last season what happened in the transfer window was for just one reason. We have had no players. Old players and no players, old players and no players. And you have to, for the next years, new vibes, new energy. That was the reason why. But I'm not a big fan for the January transfer window." Always you have to be open. You never know what happens, and it's possible that the club decides it's good for now and for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Why not? But it's better to, at the end of the season to see what happened this season, how it was. It's much better. Bournemouth had been resigned to the fact that they could lose their star player, who they signed from Bristol City for around £10 million in 2023. Speaking on Tuesday, manager Andoni Iraola said he was desperate to keep Semenyo, but couldn't control what would happen when the window opens on January 1st. Antoine Semenyo right now is with us. He's playing very well. He's playing very well, the Spaniard said. I understand that there is a lot of noise around Antoine, but my concern is that it doesn't affect him, his performances, and we are seeing that it's not affecting his performances. He's very committed to the team, and I hope we can keep him there. There are situations that I cannot control, or we cannot control, but right now, Antoine is our player, and he's going to continue playing for us. If you ask me, I don't want to lose him. Definitely, I don't want to lose him. But, like we always say, every time the market opens, you never know what's going to happen. I think it's no secret that he's a massive player for us, he added. At the end of situations, myself as a coach, I don't control. I'm not in the negotiations when the players negotiate with the club and they find agreements. When you sign a contract, both parties are happy when you sign the contract. But me, as a coach, I can only tell you I hope we don't lose him, because it's very, very important for us. But I don't know. I cannot control what's going to happen. Liverpool have a gentleman's agreement to sign Marc Guehi with one hurdle left to clear. Crystal Palace defender Marc Guehi is allowed to speak to other clubs from January as he enters the final 6 months of his contract at Selhurst Park, with sides queuing for his signature. Liverpool have a gentleman's agreement with Crystal Palace defender Marc Guehi after seeing his move collapse when the Eagles pulled out of a deal last summer, according to Sky Sports. But the Reds could yet face a nervous wait in January, with the England international drawing plenty of interest from around Europe. Guehi will be allowed to speak to clubs from abroad in a matter of days and can sign a pre-contract agreement from the start of 2026 as he enters the final 6 months of his deal with the Eagles. Liverpool's route would only be to agree a deal with Palace to claim the defender's signature early rather than face a nervous wait for him to join for free in the summer. The Reds plan to reinforce their backline, with essential defender their top priority for 2026, as Ibrahima Konate is set to leave the club at the end of his contract in the summer. Injury to Alexander Isak at the weekend could have changed their immediate priority, however. That could be a risk with Bayern Munich and Real Madrid interested in doing a deal, and Barcelona could yet be prompted into action. The Catalan club want a new defender after Andreas Christensen's injury. Despite the imminent period of wheeling and dealing in the football world, Arne Slot is not thinking about the transfer window. My only thoughts are on the upcoming 2 games, the Liverpool boss said ahead of Saturday's clash with Wolves. 2 difficult ones again, 2 home games. I think it's a time for the players we do have available to do what they've done so many times, to roll their sleeves up, and not only our players, but our fans as well, to help us in the best possible way to get the results we want. The players that are available need to give everything they have, and the fans, as they usually do, and I expect them to do now again as well, will help us. That is where my focus is. But Slot did rule out recalling Harvey Elliott from his season-long loan with Aston Villa. Elliott has struggled for pitch time at Villa, who will have to pay £30 million to sign him permanently if he makes a certain number of appearances. Slot said, "No, Harvey is an Aston Villa player, and he is supposed to be going there for a season. So questions about him, the best thing to ask is Aston Villa. They are doing really well, by the way." Mohamed Salah and teammates sent warning in order to learn lesson quickly. Egypt escaped with a 2-1 AFCON win over Zimbabwe, but Hossam Hassan made it clear that Mohamed Salah's late heroics shouldn't have been necessary if his side had completed their numerous chances. Egypt head coach Hossam Hassan made it clear his players were living too close for comfort offensively after opening their Africa Cup of Nations campaign with a narrow 2-1 win over Zimbabwe on Monday. Hassan warned Mohamed Salah and company that repeated missed chances will not be forgiven as the tournament advances beyond the group stages. The match began with confusion as broadcast cameras focused on Zimbabwe during Egypt's national anthem, but quickly settled into Egyptian domination. Egypt handled the ball, pushed numbers forward, and pinned Zimbabwe deep in their own half, but failed to turn that control into a commanding lead. They were punished in the 20th minute when Prince Dube gave Zimbabwe a shock lead by finishing efficiently from close range. Salah would go on to become a hero in extra time as he aims to win his first AFCON championship. "We were unlucky in this game. We wasted many chances and made it harder than it should have been," Hassan said after the match. "I warned the players about this scenario, and we have to learn the lesson." The missed chances mounted quickly. Trezeguet saw multiple headers saved or drift wide. Imam Ashur in Marwan Atiyah fired over the goalpost from inside the box, and Salah, heavily involved in the build-up, had efforts blocked and shots sail high. Frustration grew among the Egyptian players and supporters as Zimbabwe clung to their lead behind goalkeeper Washington Arubi, who repeatedly denied shots from Omar Marmoush, Mustafa Mohamed, and others. The breakthrough finally came in the 64th minute when Marmoush scored from a tight angle to level the match. It took until stoppage time for Salah to deliver the decisive goal. Mustafa Mohamed flicked on a header, and Salah finished clinically from the center of the box to secure all 3 points and send Egypt to the top of Group B alongside South Africa. Despite the victory, Hassan focused on the numbers and analytics after Egypt recorded 35 shot attempts with only 11 on target and converted just twice. "There are no easy matches in this competition," Hassan said. "We want to compete for the title. Egypt are a big nation in Africa and have the right to fight for the trophy." Egypt now faces South Africa on December 26th, with first place in Group B on the line. South Africa previously defeated Egypt on aggregate during the second stage of 2024 African Nations Championship qualifiers. Salah's form entering the tournament has also been under scrutiny. In his last 5 Premier League appearances for Liverpool, he failed to score, registering just 1 assist in a 2-0 win over Brighton, despite 9 shot attempts. Liverpool to open talks for priority target that got away last summer. It's no secret that Liverpool have got several issues to solve at center-back over the next few transfer windows. Sporting director Richard Hughes will have to deal with Ibrahima Konaté's contract, which expires in 2026. If no agreement can be found with the Frenchman, then he will be leaving the club on a free transfer. 12 months later, and it will be the turn of Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez, both out of contract in 2027. Factor in a center-back shortage owing to Giovanni Leone's season-ending ACL injury, and you can see why the Premier League champions' requirements at center-back are so pressing. Liverpool will go back in for Guehi. Sky Sports reporter Kaveh Solhekol doesn't believe that Hughes and head coach Arne Slot will seek to rectify the central defensive situation in January, however. But he does reckon that a deal for Marc Guehi could come back to life, with the Crystal Palace captain's contract also expiring in summer. Liverpool missed out on signing Guehi on transfer deadline day, having agreed a £35 million fee with Palace. But with the FA Cup holders failing to land a replacement, Palace opted out of a deal for Guehi, leaving Liverpool short. January Guehi deal is difficult. The problem for the Reds is they've effectively lost their free run at the England international, who agreed terms at Anfield before the deal fell apart. January will bring big European suitors to the table, and Liverpool will have to work hard to convince the 25-year-old to join once again. Liverpool will definitely sign another center-back in 2026. I'm not sure if it will be in January, Solhekol said. There's talk about whether there's a gentleman's agreement with Marc Guehi. They missed out on him at the 11th hour. Will they go back in for him? I think they probably will. The problem they have is from the 1st of January, he can start talking to foreign clubs. We know Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona are all interested in him. Manchester City could be looking for a new center-back. He will have a lot of options, and I find it very difficult to think Crystal Palace will let him leave in January. Bastoni and Schlotterbeck also linked. Arne Slot has opted to use all 3 senior center-back options in recent weeks, with Gomez filling in at right-back.
The club need to recruit quantity and quality in the position, with Nico Schlotterbeck and Alessandro Bastoni among the players linked.
Thomas Frank hits back at Arne Slot for calling out Spurs star after Alexander Isak's broken leg. The challenge that led to Alexander Isak's broken leg has sparked debate, and Thomas Frank has launched a strong defense after Arne Slot's criticism. Tottenham boss Thomas Frank has hit back at Arne Slot and launched a stirring defense of Spurs star Mickey van de Ven, after the Liverpool coach claimed that the Dutchman's challenge on Alexander Isak would always result in injury. Isak broke his leg due to a challenge by Van de Ven, which left the Sweden international in a heap moments after slotting the ball into the net in North London. The striker was immediately replaced and is now set for a spell on the sidelines after undergoing surgery. And speaking in his press conference on Wednesday, Slot called out Van de Ven's challenge and claimed it was worse than Xavi Simons' red card foul in the same game. Frank has a different view on Van de Ven's efforts. "Obviously, I'm disagreeing," said the Lily-White head coach. "In many ways, we are talking about a defender that will do everything to avoid conceding the goal. It's a transition, so he is sprinting back in. There's a ball slid down in the side, and he does everything he can to block that shot. Unfortunately, Isak has planted his foot straight there, which makes it look worse than it is. That would be a natural reaction for any defender. Or, put it this way, if my defender doesn't do that, I don't think they are true defenders. I don't see that at all. I think reckless challenges normally, you haven't seen any from Mickey as I remember it. I see him as a very fair and competitive player. That's one thing. I also know that two players have sorted it out, so that's a good sign." Slot was less forgiving. "It was for me a reckless challenge," he said. "Xavi Simons' tackle on Virgil van Dijk was completely unintentional. I don't think you will ever get an injury out of a tackle like that. The tackle of Van de Ven, if you make that tackle 10 times, then 10 times there's a serious chance a player could get a serious injury." Former Premier League referee Dermot Gallagher does not believe Van de Ven's tackle on Isak was ever deserving of a red card. "I can't see that he's done anything that a footballer wouldn't," Gallagher said on Sky Sports Ref Watch. "I would be astonished if that was given as a red card anywhere on the field. Players miss time challenges all the time. He's slightly late. It's not a red card, whether it be in the penalty area, in the D, the center circle, or the other half."